Welcome everybody, Shir number 937. We're learning today Le'ilei Nishmas Moshe Dov ben Rabban Zisel, Le'nishmas Blima Basra Moshe, and Le'refuah Shalema Noach Yosef ben Chaya Gittel, Shtakav Refuah Shalema B'Seich Shachar Yisrael. Getting back to our malacha of MAKEH B'PATISH. Okay, we are in the middle of talking about the Isurim Midrabanim, the certain gezeris which Chazal made in reference to MAKEH B'PATISH, whether it looks like tikkun kli and it looks like a new item and so on. Okay, so we are talking about putting scents, putting a smell, a nice smell, perfume smell into various different items. We've been going through some various different examples. I just want to go through some more examples, case scenarios which come up. It's interesting in the HILCHOS Lulav and ESROG, the Siman Tov Reish Nun Ches brings down the halacha in the Ramah, and the Mechaber Ramah actually says that a esrig is mutter betiltel because you're allowed to smell it. Okay, we're not going to get into the whole thing in reference to smelling it on Sukkot and so on, if you're allowed to, not allowed to. But he says after that, the point I want to bring down, he says, "V'asur litnai al habeged afilu b'yomtiv," but one cannot put the esrig, not to put it down on a beged, on a garment, and so on yomtiv, because the esrig, as we know, will gives off a scent onto the clothing. So it gives a scent onto the clothing. We know you're not supposed to be putting a scent into perfume smelled into clothing. Perfume from an esrog, from anything with a nice smell. Okay, so it's so interesting. He brings down, does the Mishabura. The question is now, so where should I put my esrig? Let's say I have an esrig right on Shabbos or on Yom Tov even. Let's say even on Yom Tov. So Lamais, I put my esrig, I put it back in the box. So I put it in, I wrap it up in some sort of materials or whatever. But anytime I wrap it up, anytime I put it back in, it's putting a scent into the box. It's putting a scent into the material or wherever I'm going to put it. It gives off a scent, the sharpness from the lemon from the esrig. That scent goes into the material. So how could I do it? So interesting, he brings down the Mishabura. First of all, the Mishabura over there, he brings down Sivkat and Vav. Avamuta litna yala beged aimoichin shahaya munach by meyev yamtiv shekvar kola tereach. Putting it back, let's say, into the box or wrapping it back in the same material that it was before, that already had the scent from before. It already had the smell from the esrig before Yom Tov, right? Because everybody has the esrig before Yom Tov. So now that you go and put it back, he says you're not really doing anything extra. It's just that scent was already there. The Dirshu also brings down, he explains that scent, that smell was already there. So that's an interesting point. So then we put it back into the box, and you're not doing anything. But he explains further that interesting that let's say you want to put into another. Let's say the box got destroyed, and I want to wrap it up in some other material. So now it's Yom Tov, and I want to wrap up my esrig in some other material. I don't have the box anymore, the material that it was in. So I'll take something else and wrap the esrig in that. So now it could be that's a problem, right? On Yom Tov, or not so much Shabbos, but on Yom Tov, it's now making a nice smell into the new material that I'm wrapping the esrog in. So the Mishabura brings down, interesting, that one should not do that, but he brings down that v'yesh mekilim, because the bottom line is it's a psikresha. It's going to make a nice smell in the new material either way, right? You wrap it up and that's it. There's no way out of it. But he brings down v'yesh mekilim mechavin. In other words, if a person's not mechavin, they don't have a mind. They're wrapping, let's say, their esrog in this case, in the material, and in the box and the regular material, we said that the smell was already there, so that's not an issue. That's not a problem at all. But you're putting, let's say, into a new one, a new material, a new box, a new whatever it is, and it's now going to make the nice smell over there. So he says, "V'shasat chak." There are those who are mekel she'ein lei makam mishumar. A person doesn't have a place where to keep his esrog. He's not right. It's Yom Tov. I need my esrog. I can't just leave it on the table. I have to wrap it up somewhere. I got to put it away somewhere. So he says, "V'shasat chak she'ein lei makam mishumar." I don't have a place to keep my esrog where it could be safe. Laniach esrig shama efshe diyesh lismaich amakilim. So he says efshe we could be makel on the makilim, who want to say that since a person is not machavin, we let you do it over here. So he brings this from the Taz B'Shem de Marshal, also from others, Maimon Mordechai and the Graz was Shulchan Aruch Harav and so on. Okay. And we saw this also. We brought down last time from Siman Shin Chaf Aleph. Somebody sometimes wants to smash certain peppers or whatever, these type of things that possibly give off a smell, a nice smell, and they want to do it so that it's more, in a way where you're allowed to do teichen. And we're not going to get into all those halachas of grinding on Shabbos, but in the way one is allowed to mash a certain food, let's say, and they want to wrap it in something. So it could be that the smell goes into the item. So he said the Mishabura brought down that Lamaisa B'Shas Chak, the Taz was makel over there because the person does not have a mind. It's a einay mischaven. So with that brings down the Sefer Lamites Malachas on page 1193 that plain and pashut, an esrig may be put into wrapping material, even though the box and wrapping material absorb the natural fragrance of the esrig. So assuming from the old box, so we saw it was already there from before, but an esrig may be put right. So put into even new wrapping, even though the box and wrapping material absorbs the natural fragrance from the esrig, because of the fact that the bottom line is he's not mischaven, and there are those who are mekel. Just wanted to read from the Lashon from also the Sefer Lamites Malachas. It brings down, we spoke about last time, somebody put some perfume, cologne on their body, deodorant, whatever the case is, and they're putting these things and it smells nice, and they put it on their body. So now the bottom line is they have to put on clothing. So we said, so automatically the clothing's going to get a smell from the perfume, from the cologne, whatever it is, from the deodorant, it's going to get a smell because that it's going on the body. So he brings from the Sefer Shmir Shabbos HILCHOS, does the Sefer Lamites Malachas, just to read the Lashon that they want to put again a nice smell on their body. The person does not, you have to wear clothing. Everybody knows obviously you have to wear clothing. He says gam efshe the hacha adav tefei the enib sekreisha kol kach sheikanes sheyachnes areach la beged. So it could be it's even better than a psikresha. That not that it's better. I'm sorry. That the einay psikresha gam efshe the hacha adav tefei the einay psikresha. I'm sorry. That it's einay psikresha kol kach sheyachnes areach la beged. He wants to say taka that it could be that it's not a psikresha where it's going to happen inevitably. It's going to go on the clothing. But lemaisa he brings down that, even if you were going to say it's going to happen automatically, which usually is probably most of the time, but it brings on Sefer Lamites Malachas in conjunction with that one may spray scented spray on themselves, even though the scent will be transferred to the clothing afterwards, because this person puts on clothing. This is all part of the regular, the regular way of going around. And by the way, one more thing in conjunction with what we mentioned with the esrig and the peppers and so on, the Sefer Shabbos Home says that also in general we say, even though it's psikresha, in this case the Taz, we go with the Taz and so on, that says psikreshas in this case, taka, what is okay. Okay, so just real quickly reviewing, he mentions also with the air fresheners, which we spoke about last time, air fresheners may be sprayed to deodorize a room because adding fragrance to the air does not simulate the creation of a new entity. Like we mentioned last time also, air is not an entity in this regard. You're not spraying anything. The air is, even though air is air, but halachically it doesn't take on a status. It brings down also that the Sefer Lamites Malachas may not dilute scented mouthwash in water on Shabbos, like we said, because of the fact you're putting in the water and you water it down, so it puts a good smell or good taste, actually smell, into the water. One has to be careful with that also, watering down the mouthwash we spoke about. Just one more thing, which also we spoke about a little in reference to one's hair. When it comes to when we spoke about the sheitel, a hair that's not part of one's natural hair, that you can't put a nice smell into. But when it's on the regular natural hair, not to use hairsprays because that makes the hair hard and that's running into a problem of boina. But just stop putting a nice smell. Somebody wants to spray the hair for whatever reason with a nice smell, so that is okay. It's part of the body. There's nothing wrong, he brings down, with putting a scent on one's body or one's natural hair, regular hair that's attached to the head, obviously, as far as regular smell goes. So an important thing to keep in mind, sometimes somebody feels, they, whatever, maybe possibly Yom Tif, whatever the case is, they weren't able to wash their hair and so on. So they feel it might possibly have an odor, so just say, give it a spray. Not with regular hairspray, but something that might have a, either whatever it is, deodorant or some nice smelling thing, so that Lamaisa would be okay as far as putting the smell into one's hair. Okay, we'll stop here. Just to bring down real quickly, brings down also the Ma'aseh does say for Tes Malachas in conjunction with that which we mentioned with the Taz. Only deliberate intentional scenting is usher. That's the Isser over here. When you do it deliberately, scenting that occurs incidental is not included under these restrictions. Usually it is psikration, but over here we have the Taz, others to rely on. When it comes incidental, they said it was fine. Okay, we're going to end here. Thank you for listening. Atzlach and bracha kol tov.